Welcome to my channel, where we discuss everything and all things politics, especially about the 2023 presidential election held in Nigeria on February 25, 2023. And the outcome of the election is being challenged in the court. And the actual winner of the election, the true winner of the election, Nigerians are waiting for it to be announced by the Supreme Court. But before then, Nigerians have come to accept the fact that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is their president, as announced by INEC, until the Supreme Court rules otherwise. While all eyes are on the Supreme Court to do justice to the controversial election, Tinubu is running the country, and how he's running the country is impacting every Nigerian, for good or for ill. Now, one of the key decisions that has to be taken in recent time was about the coup in Niger Republic. Now, this coup that happened in Niger Republic was actually a coup that the coup plotters wanted to send a message to France, their colonial masters, that they are sick and tired of being colonized by France several decades after independence from France. But that's not the end of the story. ECOWAS is demanding return to democratic rule and the restoration of power to the administration of Mohamed Bazoum. Here in this report, I want to show that Tinubu is drumming war drums through ECOWAS against Niger Republic if the junta does not return power to the civilians. But that is where the danger lies, because there are now strong evidence to indicate that it was France, or it is France, that is pushing Tinubu to go to war with Niger Republic. And you cannot get a better evidence than the evidence we have found in a French newspaper, Monde. Monde is the most authoritative newspaper in France. In a recent article, which they titled, "Bola Tinubu's credibility will depend on what he can do in Niger," they send a message that Tinubu has no credibility until he proves his credibility in Niger. So it is the French that are pushing Tinubu, while Tinubu also has his own local demons that he's fighting because of the challenge to his election. But we can see from this report that that French is pushing Tinubu to prove that he has credibility. Now, the Le Monde newspaper, as I told you, is the most influential newspaper in France. Now, according to his latest report, he said that Bola Ahmed Tinubu should prove his credibility by doing something about Niger, or the way they put it, Bola Tinubu's, you can see it on your screen, Bola Tinubu's credibility will depend on what he can do in Niger. What is it that Tinubu can do to mobilize West Africa to go on a war with Niger if the junta failed to restore democracy and return Mohamed Bazoum back to power? In this recent article we are talking about, a senior researcher called Benjamin Augie who is a specialist in Nigeria and a researcher at the French Institute of International Affairs or International Relations. He's a researcher at the French Institute of International Relations. He took a look at the major role that Nigeria is currently playing in the crisis in Niger. He said that Nigeria is at the front line against the coup leaders and noted that Nigeria is the dominant political and economic power in West Africa. Going forward, the paper, according to this researcher at the French Institute of International Relations, because the French Institute of International Relations is a think tank that thinks for the French government, said that Tinubu's credibility, even from a domestic point of view, will depend on what he manages to do after the coup in Niger. So it is not after Nigerian interest. It is not about what will be Nigeria's interest in Niger. It is what will be in the interest of France, what he manages to do after the coup in France, in Niger. And that's what the French are looking for, is what Tinubu will do that will be in the interest of France. According to this report, and according to this researcher, he said that Tinubu has been under a great deal of pressure since the end of the fuel subsidy in Nigeria in June. He said Tinubu has taken a very firm stance against the coup leaders, noting that Tinubu has invoked drastic economic action against Niger Republic junta. But he said that, but if the junta in Niamey, that's the capital of Niger, doesn't falter, and Tinubu gives up the military option, he said this leaves him with a few ways out of the situation. So what else that would Tinubu do if the economic option failed to work? If the military junta refused to give up, and Tinubu himself refused to go on the military option, he said, what else is left for Tinubu? What it means that they are pushing him to go to war. He shouldn't give up the military option. That's what they are telling him. They went on in this analysis by this researcher. He said it should be pointed out that Tinubu is not a military man, unlike several of his predecessors since the return of democracy to Nigeria. Among of these his predecessors, according to this research, this researcher is Olusegun Obasanjo, 1999 to 2007, and Muhammadu Buhari from 2015 to 2023. And they now look at the conclusion they are reaching. They say, it is in Tinubu's interest. Listen to this. It is in Tinubu's interest to show that he can be decisive on defense issues, despite his lack of experience in military field. So Tinubu should show that he's a strong man by going to war with France, with Niger, even though he has no experience in the military. But he has to do that to show that he's a strong man, that nobody could joke with him. He's a man of power and authority, a strong man. Are you getting what they are saying there? He said, it is in Tinubu's interest. I'm sure if Tinubu read this, he will also be happy, because that is what they want him to do. He said, it is in Tinubu's interest to show that he can be decisive in defense issue, despite his lack of experience in military field. If ECOWAS and Nigeria decide to use force when the ultimatum expires, would Nigerian army be ready to fight Nigerian army, which also has a large number of Hausa fighters? That's a question that even the man himself posed. And in his reply, he was saying that it is in Nigeria's interest to ensure that democracy is restored, despite acknowledging that Nigeria fighting Niger is almost like two brothers fighting each other. It acknowledged the fact that there are a large number of Hausa fighters in Niger Republic who are in Nigerian army, who will now fight their Hausa brothers in the Nigerian army. But that doesn't mean anything to them as long as Tinubu could be able to prove that he is on the side of France and that he is on the side of democracy. Now, according to this analysis, Paris, that is France, is well aware that it cannot directly be involved in resolving the crisis in Niger Republic. So France, according to this report, is depending on Nigeria. Depending on Nigeria to do the needful. What it means is that France is relying on Nigeria to sack the junta in Niger Republic. The junta that had pushed out the French, burned down their embassy and chased them away from their country and declare free independence from them. French is looking up to Nigeria to remedy the situation, to restore democracy, and of course to bring back the French back to the army. That is what it's all about. And France is relying, French President Emmanuel Macron is relying on Nigeria. And there's something I want you to note. Have you noticed that of all Nigeria's presidents, Tinubu is the one that has been very frequent in going to France, even before he was sworn in. After he was sworn in, you know he frequently goes to Paris. Tinubu is always in Paris. Whenever you hear he goes abroad these days, either for medicals or for whatever, you heard that he is in France. When he traveled after the election, he went to France. When he traveled after INEC announced him that he is the winner of the election, he went to France. Now, it is obvious that Tinubu has special relationship with Paris, with France. Is that going to play a role in what he's going to do going forward? Nigerians have to keep watching and see what develops. Because already Emmanuel Macron is relying on Nigeria to remedy the damage in Nigeria, in diplomatic damage they are suffering in Nigeria. And they have a president now in Nigeria who is very cozy with the French. He is pushing for a war. The French are pushing him on for a war. He has gone to the National Assembly to submit a letter indicating a readiness for war. The issue remains, is this war in the interest of Nigeria or in the interest of France? On whose war should Tinubu and his administration be fighting on? Is it on the side of Nigeria, on the side of France, or on the side of the Niger? That is a big question that they have to answer. But the truth remains that if you are sworn in to protect the territorial integrity of Nigeria, to protect life and property in Nigeria, it is unfair to jump the gun and start to think about protecting the interest of a foreign entity instead of protecting the interest of your country, especially when your country is not directly under threat of attack. The Nigerians has never threatened Nigeria, for all I know. They have never declared war against Nigeria. They have never declared war against Nigeria. The Nigerians have never declared war against Nigeria. It is we, if our Senate agree, that we now want to declare war against them. And whatever they do in return to defend their country, including inviting the Russians, nobody should blame them. They are fighting to defend their territory. That is, if Nigeria is under such a threat, I expect that Nigerian leaders will do whatsoever is possible to protect the motherland. They can invite anybody, any foreign entity to help you defend its territory. That is what exactly that the Nigerians are going to do. Now they know, because I'm not the only person that have read this Lamont report. The Nigerians have read it. Everybody had read it. It means that they will know that the war that is coming against them is a war of France, and that Nigeria is leading the war under the guise of ECOWAS, but being instigated by France. And that is something that should be of concern. And that is why the National Assembly should listen to the northern senators or northern caucus of the Senate that is saying, do not go to war with Niger. Use the diplomatic option. If it fails, allow the Nigerians to sort out their problem themselves. Nigeria should not go and should not, like they say in local parlance, should not be drinking Panadol for Nigerian headache. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel, you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. And please don't forget to like this video, because when you like it, Google will rank it high and recommend it for more people. Thank you, and God bless you and yours.